Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark with the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 2018 Serbian drama The Load.
Mora od nečeg da se živi.
Hey, well, I wish that was true, but I'm not making a career out of this yet. Probably never will, but that's fine because I enjoy what I'm doing. The Load is a war movie set in the 1999 during a NATO bombing of Serbia. A truck driver named Vlada is tasked with transporting a mysterious load from Kosovo to Belgrade. Now, I thought his acting was incredible in this movie. He's played by Leon Lukev. And he's somber, he's kind of quiet, he keeps to himself a little bit until he meets on his travels a kid, he's like in his late teens, maybe early 20s, named Pavel Kamarisic. That's the person who plays him, but the character's name is Paja. Now, I thought, had really good chemistry together. Once they start to get to know each other and they start to trust each other, they have really great back and forth dialogue. They kind of each fill a hole that the other person has in their life or in their hearts. They're kind of at the place and at the time where they need each other. Their country is being bombed. Vlada is away from his family. Paja has no family. So at this point in time, they're basically each other's family. They're basically all they have. And I think it's a really sweet moment. I think it's a really impactful moment. And then Paja, however you pronounce his name, he ends up leaving, and I think that kind of rips the heart out of the movie a little bit. Now, there's still some impactful scenes later on, but I thought that was really the driver of this movie. This movie is really a slow burn. It's really slow pace. It's almost painfully slow pace for a movie that's like an hour and a half. And I'm not saying that I was bored during it, but my attention wasn't really peaked throughout the entire movie. The story was just so slow. And like I said, after the young gentleman leaves, it just becomes even more slow to me and more drawn out. Now, there's some good scenes at the end of the movie where Vlada finally gets to go back to his family, and that's amazing. You get to see the relationship he has with his child, or the relationship he doesn't have with his child, because he is poor. He doesn't have a job because of the bombings and the war that's going on. So he kind of takes odd jobs here and there. He drives a truck to and fro wherever he's asked to. He doesn't really question what's in the cargo. He just drives it, and he works very long hours, overnights, days, whatever, weeks, and he doesn't see his children that often. And his son has come to resent him a little bit because he never sees his father. And his father basically says, like, well, I need to put food on the table. You guys need to eat. There's nothing else going on right now. There's no other work for me. This is not the kind of life that I want. It's not the kind of life that I want for you or your mom, but like, this is what I have to deal with. And you really feel that struggle with Vlada. You really feel like he does feel bad about always having to be on the road, about not being there for his son, not being there for his wife. And at the end of the movie, like, at first he did not know what he was transporting, but at the end of the movie he finds out, and I think he's just kind of shocked and taken aback by what he's transporting, and it really kind of makes him question what he's doing, question the morality of what he's doing, and if it's really worth the money that he's being paid, even though he doesn't have any other prospects going for him. I think that if you've worked like a minimum wage job, if you've worked a job that you don't think there's any upward momentum, that you don't think that you can get out of, that you have to work this job for survival, for your family's survival, that this is definitely a movie that you can relate to. It's definitely a movie that will probably make you sad and have you feeling certain ways, but it's definitely a movie that you can relate to if you've ever felt like you're stuck in a position that you don't want to be in. But anyway, this movie has a 100% fresh rating from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 73% fresh rating from the audience. I am currently reviewing every movie that has a 100% fresh rating from the critics in chronological order, and once I'm done, I will I will rank them from worst to best. So essentially, I gave away some of the plot of this movie, but this guy named Vlada, he is driving a truck with an unknown cargo. He doesn't ask ever what's in the truck. He just drives it because he feels like the I think he feels like the little bit he knows about this, the least he knows about this information, the least he knows about what's in the truck, the better off he is, as long as he doesn't get pulled over by the cops, which he does at some point. And there's a very cryptic thing that happens once he gets pulled over that we'll go over through later. But ends up, as he's driving this truck, he's told not to stop, like just keep going, don't stop for anything. But there ends up being a roadblock and he has to stop. And he gets out, he says he asks for directions to get around this roadblock because he only seems to like know one way, or the other ways that he's tried have also been blocked. So he gets information about the best route to go, and he takes this route. Now, while in this route, he notices on the back of this truck, this guy named Paya is kind of hitching a ride on the back, going where he's going. So he gets out and he says, why don't you get in the car? If you're going to go with me, you might as well get in the car. So he gets in the car and they end up driving. Now, originally, Paha, he kind of keeps to himself. He has some earphones that he listens to. He doesn't talk that much. He doesn't open up that much. You think maybe he doesn't trust Vlada, which is, perfectly understandable because they don't know each other. But he ends up telling Vlada that he's listening to a cassette player with music that he made from his band, but the band is no longer together. Vlada listens to it and thinks that the music is really good. This kind of bonds them together to where they start talking about life and where they're from, who their families are, what they're doing. And it really sparks a good relationship that fills the needs of both of them because they both have different emotional holes in their life that they need filled. Now, while they are traveling, he ends up getting pulled over and the cops ask him to open up the back of his truck. Now, he's given a note from the people he works with that says, if you're ever pulled over, hand them this note. So he hands them the note and the cop reads it and he's like, oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that. And he gives the note back. What just happened? I have no idea. We'll learn later what happened, but it's kind of a very cryptic thing. And you're wondering what could be in the back of this truck to where there's a note that the cop does not want to pursue looking in the back of the truck. What could the note have said that could possibly have made the cop suspicious about something, but once he read the note, he was no longer suspicious about it? It must have been a very convincing note to be like, oh, this guy's telling the truth. I'll just go ahead and go on my way. Everything I thought was wrong is fine. So they end up getting back in the truck and they're driving away. Paya, he says, what are you transporting anyway? And Vlada says, I have no idea. I don't ask questions. I just drive the truck from point A to point B, and it doesn't matter what I'm shipping and what I'm driving. I don't care. So this is like a red flag to Paya. He doesn't want any trouble with the law. He might be running away from the law for all we know. He was just hitchhiking on a truck. So he decides that he is going to part ways and go his separate way. So Vlada ends up getting to his destination, to the truck stop that he's supposed to go to. He learns that someone is going to drive him home in that same truck, so they just need to unload it and clean it. And he pretty much sprays it out himself, but he sees a very troubling thing coming out of the truck. Now, I'm not going to ruin it in case someone wants to watch this movie. It is very dark. It is very bleak. It is very sad, and it really strikes a chord with him to where he thinks that should he really be doing this? Is this morally something that's right? Even though he desperately needs this job because of his children and because of his wife, he's kind of torn as to what he's going to do. So he ends up going home and he sees his son. Now his son is very distant to him because, like I said, his father's never around. He's always at work. He's always driving back and forth. And he wasn't there when his son was growing up to help him grow up to be a man. And his father basically says, look, this is not what I wanted. Like, I wanted to be a father. I wanted to be there for you. But this is the situation that we're in. These are the kind of jobs that are available. This is what I'm qualified for. This is the kind of jobs that are out there. So this is what I'm doing. So earlier in the movie, Paya, I'm just going to call him Paya for now. He gave a cassette to Vlada with the music that he created because he used to be a musician. And at the end of the movie, Vlada gives that cassette to his son. His son listens to it and says, you know what, maybe I want to be in the band. So maybe now there's like some line of communication. They finally have something in common with each other, to whereas I don't think they were trying to reach any, like, especially Vlada, maybe he wasn't trying to find anything in common with his son. He wasn't trying to make an effort to learn who his son is, who his personality is, what he enjoys, what he wants to be. He really just went to work, came home, ate, went back to work, and he didn't know anything about his son. So now maybe there's like some sort of door opening where he can be in his son's life and he can kind of rethink what he's going to be doing as a profession, maybe do something that he actually enjoys, but he can still get money for immediately. I don't know, but you kind of see that maybe there's a change that's coming in his life, and maybe he's going to actually be there and be present, and he's going to win back his son's love. Now, I thought this movie was good. I did a lot of my opinion in the beginning, but I did think that it was slow. It was a very slow burn for an hour and a half movie. I'm not always a huge fan of slow burn movies. They just really have to be interesting all the way through. The subject matter, like from start to finish, just has to be something that captures my attention, captures my curiosity, and it just didn't do it for me. It didn't capture that. Like, I appreciate the story. I appreciate the relationship between the two main characters. At the end, the revelation that happens and the fact that these two might be building their relationship back up. But I just wasn't stimulated at all in any way, mentally or emotionally. Really, nothing really struck a chord with me here. And it was a little on the boring side. I mean, I said that another movie was boring, and someone lit me up in the comment section for it and said that maybe I should pay attention to the movie more instead of being bored through the movie. But I really believe that I paid attention to this movie. I really believe that I understood what was going on. Maybe I didn't. Maybe you could tell me that I'm totally wrong here. But for me, it was a little slow. It was a little on the boring side. But, I mean, the acting was great. I thought the characters were believable. The story was believable, especially during wartime in Serbia. I believe that what was in that truck could have actually been in that truck, and this is a job that someone might have actually had and didn't know they had because they didn't ask any questions. And I think that is absolutely terrifying because you don't really know what's going on in the war in regards to this certain, I would say, dynamic, if you're allowing this to happen. So I know it's very cryptic, but I don't want to give away the ending if I already haven't. So I thought the movie was good. It wasn't great. Kind of a slog, honestly, but I will still give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, I hope you join me next time for another review, which I am trying to bring up right now to see what movie that is. My computer is absolutely incredibly slow, so let me see if I can bring it up on my phone any faster. Okay, it is going to be a movie called South Mountain. And if you want a preview as to what I think about South Mountain, I'll just say, Jesus. Ooh. South Mountain. Okay. Thank you. I hope you join me for my next review. Have a great day.